What's up, y'all, and welcome to the Soccer Comic Rant. And we're going to talk about Spurs getting beat again, 3 times in a row. As Lee would put it, that Conte magic, or that lack of Conte magic when it comes to facing Spurs. We're going to talk about Manchester United finishing, getting to the winter break in style with a Fergie time win, even though it wasn't really Fergie time. Fergie time is usually 10 minutes. This just took 3. And we're going to talk about Arsenal still trying to get games canceled during the break, because that's what Arsenal does. Even though they don't have any games, they still write to the league trying to get breaks and not play games that they don't even have on their schedule. And we're going to talk about everybody going to Dubai. We're going to slide down the Premier League table like it's a stripper pole and see where everybody's at this point in the season. And that's what we're going to do. And my name is Ian Edwards. Thank you for listening on iTunes. Where else? Spotify, Omni Studio, and at allthingscomedy.com, where you got like a host of other really good comics who have their own podcast there. And I slid in with this one. So check out allthingscomedy.com. Our podcast sponsor is onthevolleyapparel.com. And if you go to onthevolleyapparel.com, they got tanks, t-shirts, hoodies, and sweatshirts of all varieties, men and women, with hip-hop soccer logos on them. And if you put in Soccer Comic Rant, we'll have like our own set of t-shirts there. So, get one if you want. And we got 2 of the usual suspects. Lee, Hudson from a comic from England, Southampton fan. And let's just call them the Street Breakers. He's a part of the street breaking Southampton, front. And we'll talk about that game. And then we got Martin, just got back from Poland. Harris, actor, comic, writer, and 8th place Spurs fan. Was further down, 9th? Were you on 9th?
We have like four more games to play though, so I still want to think we're potentially 4th.
Potentially, yeah. You have the potential to miss making 4th. Yeah. Cool.
Not on the team, but it's still mathematically in the table.
Okay. Well, I have to figure out how to lessen the screen on this thing, but I don't know how to do it yet. Like I told the guys before the show, it's a brand new iPad. But let's just talk about like how weird this is. For the first time in British soccer history, we have a winter break. Is this the first time, or am I making this up in my head?
First time in my living memory. There might have been one sometime back in the day. I don't know, when pitches were unplayable in the winter or something, maybe.
Right.
But yeah, it's the first one I can remember, and it feels a bit pathetic being a week. You make everyone play 7 games in the space of 10 days over Christmas or some crap. And then it's like, oh, you can have 1 weekend off.
Was the break supposed to be longer, and then they had to do the makeup games, so all the games at Arsenal and Burnley canceled, and Spurs too? And they just tried to get those games in last week, or was this the original plan?
I think this was the plan. Yeah, those teams are still going to have to squeeze those games. There's still loads of games to squeeze in. I think last weekend was still planned.
So the original plan was for the Daily Mail to catch Harry Maguire dragging 2 bags full of luggage through the Manchester airport to go to Dubai for the week with his girl. And that's where everybody seems to have gone. And it's weird, because I always felt players played a lot and they needed a break. But I bet you this week when I miss games, I'm like, damn, they shouldn't have had this break. I feel like I'm gonna be like, But I'm just going to watch the other leagues, you know. So I'm going to check it out. But you guys want to check and just go through the table and see where everybody else is at this point. Yeah. And we just, you know, just to give us a gauge of like, this is, it's weird because it should be the halfway point, but it's not, because every team is not at the same point. Like Man City has played 23 games. They're first, they have 57 points, and they won 12 games in a row until they ran into your boys, Southampton. How do you feel about your team's performance and the way you were set up in the, was it a 4-4-2? What was it?
The usual 4-2-2-2-2. Or 4-2-2-2.
Oh, you did the 4-2-2. So that's how the
4-2-2-2
supposed to work.
So it's like obviously usual back four, two midfielders that are usually the holding midfielders or box-to-box midfielders. We normally have like Romeo, who just sits and kicks anyone that tries to go near him. And then Ward-Prowse is more the box-to-box sort of energy in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's two players in front of them who, like, they're not quite wingers, but they're not quite number 10s. They sort of play in between. And for us against City, that was Redmond and Armstrong to begin with. And then El Yunusi came on for Redmond at half-time. And then two centre forwards, which was Che Adams and Brozier against City. So, yeah.
And one Salisu.
Yeah, he was immense.
Yeah, he was immense.
Dude was like a brick wall this week. He's still a little bit untidy with some of the stuff he does in some games, but like the penalty and the red card against Spurs was reckless a few weeks back. But I mean, some games, like, he's just, like he nothing got past him in that game, and it wasn't his fault the goal we conceded. So yeah, he got man of the match from our fans vote, which was right decision, because there was a lot of players who had good games, but he was phenomenal.
Yeah, I loved your goal. Like, you worked it up the left side of the pitch, and there's nothing going on around here. Let's come around back. Romeo, I think it was Romeo, put it right over to Walker Peters, and he went up, hit off. Was it Townsend or Redmond?
Redmond played the little one too, yeah.
Redmond kicked back in, and then that finish was like world class. I was like, there's a team out there that needs a player like that. And the name of that team starts with an S, and he used to play for that team. And now he's at Southampton doing big things right now.
Yeah, first ever goal from Walker Peters in his career, like in the Premier League. He scored in like the League Cup for us and stuff. But
right. Martin, did you get a chance to check out that game?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Southampton it's always a very likable team because they play brave football. They took points out of us. Playing 10 against 11, although being lucky because we missed a lot of chances in this game, but they never stopped fighting. So that's a dangerous team if they decide to be so. That's why also it's understandable sometimes they lose very big. Because they just play brave football, and someone said it before many times. It's better to lose one game 9-0 than 9 games 1-0, and I think that's the philosophy that Southampton brings to the table. Sometimes they do lose big, but overall they get the results throughout the year, enough results to obviously stay up without problems, and this season they also they will stay up without any problems.
Yeah, it felt like a perfect performance. It's like they didn't have that much possession, but when they had it, you're like, oh, this looks like a real team. And without the ball, like the way they were set up, I said that you did get shelled a lot in the second half, but there's some performances like Brozier, like some of his runs, how big, strong, and fast he is, how much of a handful he is. How old is he?
19, 20.
Nice, 19, that thing?
Yeah. He's a tank.
That Albanian attacking machine, just 19. I mean, he played at least like 23. That's gonna be problems for people later on in the league. What were you gonna say, Martin?
I would say that the one thing that stands out with Southampton comparing to, for example, Newcastle and some other teams, it's or Everton especially this season, is that I think they're very well managed as a team in terms of making decisions who they bring in to replace players they sell, because they are a selling team still, and I think Ward-Prowse eventually will be sold. Because that's just the nature of the business. If, let's say, Chelsea comes and offers £60 million, they're gonna sell him. But I think the way they fill those gaps, and they don't make irrational moves, they don't make sentimental moves, but they look, for example, at Tottenham 3 years ago. Oh, this guy Walker-Peters, he's not really playing all the time there, but he can be a good fit. They look at, Broja, talent, no chance to play for Chelsea. Let's bring him on. Livramento. So they make those good decisions. Usually, Bertrand was also a guy they got from a bigger team, and he played a role there and played the role very well. So it's pretty impressive how they are capable of finding those gems in bigger teams that are not working on bigger teams, and then to keep refilling the bottle in a way.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
We did have a spell where we made a lot of bad signings, and those were the seasons when we were right down, almost getting relegated. So when we had Pellegrino as manager and Mark Hughes as manager, people like that, we went through a few seasons where we made some really expensive mistakes, and it hurt us. Like, we had some players who, they looked good in games, but they never really did it, and they were on big wages. Like Mario Lemina, he was great for 2 or 3 games, but he was costing a lot of money, and he wasn't really working with the system that we played. We had a centre-back called Wesley Hook, who was a Dutch guy, I think, centre-back. He came from Lazio and was just not great. Again, on big wages, took a while to move him on. El Yunusi, when we first signed him, he didn't do anything. We loaned him out to Celtic for like 2 seasons. And he's now working hard. He's back at the club and he's playing well, which, credit to Hasenhüttl for getting that out of him. But Sofiane Boufal, again, looked great at times, but it was an expensive mistake. We had a few seasons where it wasn't working so great, and then we fired a bunch of people behind the scenes and brought in some new guys, and it's been working well since that. So, it'd be good to see us, especially with the new owners, if we can move in the right direction again, make those smart signings like we have been doing the last few years, like Livramento. If we can get Broja permanently, which is a rumour at the moment, that would be awesome. I'm not holding out too much hope, because I think Chelsea are going to want him back at this rate. We need him to start playing badly again for a little while. I just checked. He turned 20 in September.
Still young, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think back in those days when you said like you bought a lot of wrong people, you also oversold, and like you sold a lot of key people, and I felt like that eventually caught up with you too. Like,
yeah, we lost a lot of big players in those years.
Yeah,
but
what's your plan now that you got the money? Now that you got that Serbia money, what's your plan? Like, how much has it changed, like, your DNA? Because I felt like you were a selling team, you sold a lot. Then you started slipping towards the bottom, then you stopped selling. And you started rebuilding. And now you have a team and you have good people, players, but now you got this injection of money. So that's like 3 different vibes. Like, which one do you feel like y'all are going to become?
It's not big money that they've come in with. They bought the club, and like it's not like Saudi Arabia taking over Newcastle. Right. It's not that level of money. So I think we'll continue in the same vein. Like, the fact that we've got the guy from Brentford in as well, like, he headed up their whole like data-driven thing. Like, I hate to use the term, but like the whole Moneyball kind of thing. So I think they're gonna look to carry on what we've done, like looking for players like Livramento, who it's like exciting prospects who aren't going to break through at a team, or someone who isn't getting a chance at a team. We'll sign those players and try and build them up and then sell them on for profit. So I think it'll be back to where we were a few years ago, probably.
So let me ask you a question. Like, you guys brought in this guy, right? But I felt like, because of all the players that Martin just mentioned earlier, like all those new pieces, even though some of them are loans, some of them are buys, and we're talking about Walker-Peters and it's like you had someone there that was doing a good job of bringing people in, and then is that person gone now that the Brentford guy's gone, like with no credit?
No, that was still work. The director of football we had this Matt Crocker. I think he's still staying. There's nothing changing there. So
All right.
yeah, they'll just give it some extra. We were already using like a data-driven approach for stuff. I think they're just going to come in and refine it, hopefully.
Okay.
I would say the only transfer that didn't pan out is Armstrong, right? That's the only one that kind of didn't work out so far.
Armstrong,
the striker, right?
Yeah, he's got time. He's shown flashes of good stuff, but yeah, we need him to be more consistent.
This is his first year in the Premier League, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it takes some time though, Josh.
Yeah,
he got the speed though.
Yeah, he's one where he's not been terrible, but I'd have expected more given that he was the guy brought in to replace Danny Ings, and Brozier, who is a kid, has outperformed him so far. So at least we've got options though. Like if we haven't had to pin everything on Armstrong. If we did, that would be a problem, I think. But yeah, it's turned out like we beat Villa at home 1-0, and he scored the only goal. Which was a great goal as well. Like he's turned up in some games, but he's not been consistent enough. He's had some injuries as well. But he's got to compete with Adams. He's got to compete with Brozier. So it's good that we've got the options to carry a bit of poor form if it does happen.
Do you think you felt Ings at a good moment and for a good? You think it was a good deal?
Yeah, I think so. He's scored a lot of goals in the Championship. I think he can score goals in the Premier League. He's shown it in flashes.
No. I'm talking about Ings. Do you think that the Ings departure?
Oh, Ings. Yeah. 100%. He was in the last year of the contract, and Villa offered way over the price that we were looking for. So yeah, I mean, I would have liked to keep him because he's a guaranteed like 15 goals a season Premier League striker. If he's fit and he's playing every game. But last year of the contract, we were going to let him go for free. So the fact that we got Brozier on loan, he's, replacing some of his goals. Yeah, I'll take that.
And the irony is you're further up the table right now than you were last year with Ings, right?
Yeah, I think we're slightly higher. Yeah, we were in the relegation battle a bit more last season.
Yeah, so you got rid of him, you got some money, you're further up the table, your payroll's a little lighter, you don't have to worry about that issue. Martin, do me a favor, could you wipe your camera off a little bit and see if we see you better? I think you're using the dirt filter.
No, I don't know.
Are you using your thumb to do it? Because that shit ain't gonna make it cleaner.
I don't think
that piece of your shirt that's falling off. Use that.
It's the internet. I don't think there's a problem with the camera.
Martin's recording on like a Nokia 3210 or something.
Yeah, what are you using, bro? That was better.
Better?
Yeah.
I just tuned in the light a little bit better. Maybe that's why.
I mean, wiping it definitely helped. What do y'all think of like
the computer?
It's a computer. What do you think of the Man City's performance? Like they're at the top of the table. They had this was a draw. I don't think it's a big deal. I just felt like they ran into, the A game of Southampton, and Southampton, like Martin said, can take points from you. They took points from us too, I think, this year. I think there was that play, and I think that was Armstrong that tackled Bruno and was like, hey, isn't that a foul? And the ball went, and then you guys scored, and then we had to tie it up. But Southampton they're not giant killers, but they will take points from top 6 teams, and even ones that are not, like Spurs. So, City, they're way ahead of people. Only, I guess, 9 ahead of Liverpool. I mean, a draw makes the league more interesting. Pep was kind of mad because he's cursing out the pundits who say the title is Man City's, and they say it so early. And he said, yeah, I'd like to be 40 points ahead of everyone in December and have the title, but that's not the case. And now you say the title race is back on, and then you're asking me some question. They're asking him about a question that only they've been discussing, as if he's been a part of it. They're asking him, do you think the title race is still back on, is back on? And he's like, I never said it was off. This is some question and debate y'all been having amongst yourselves without me. So now you're just asking me some shit. Like, I'm Pep, I'm one of the greatest coaches in the world. I'd never be stupid enough to think the title race is off, you know? But
his players haven't been playing like the title race is off either. They've been relentless.
Yeah.
I think on another day they would have beaten us. Like, they hit the post, they hit the bar.
Yeah.
Sterling had that big chance just before half time where Forster got across and made the save, but really he should be finishing that. He shouldn't even be making the keeper have a chance to make a save there. That should have just been a finish. So, but, you know, they had 75% possession. They had a whole bunch of shots. On another day, they could have beaten us. Like, we made our luck. We worked hard for it. I think we were, you know, the work rate and the effort deserved something out of the game, which we got. But on another day, they could have easily beaten us. So, I mean, the fact that we've taken a draw from them home and away this season is pretty crazy. Just doing what the 12 teams before us couldn't do, which is quite a nice feeling. But, you know, let's not say, you know, if that's City on a bad day, then, you know, the league is theirs.
United is one of those teams too. But go ahead.
You know what's interesting with City, and it also shows you and tells you what Guardiola did there in terms of creating a monster, creating a machine, creating almost an unbeatable franchise right now. Because if you look individually on what type of seasons, for example, Sterling has, or Gabriel Jesus, or Grealish, none of them are at the peak of their powers, really, you know. But as a team, they're clearly dominating the competition, and I don't think anyone will or can catch them, even with the players that are pretty key players. And De Bruyne didn't play for quite a bit, you know. So you look at the City, even from playing fantasy league football perspective, and you don't see you don't see like one or two individuals who are clearly outplaying the whole league. But you look at the unit, you look at everybody's doing their job. Cancelo is doing his job. Laporte is doing his job. Defensively, they're doing the job. As a unit, they're doing their job. They don't have a typical center forward, and they're still getting wins, you know? So,
Well, it's like if you look at their best players this season, you'd probably say Cancelo, Rodri, and Bernardo Silva, which is none of the sort of the bigger names. Like you say, the Sterling, Grealish, Foden, De Bruyne, like, you know, they've been outperformed by those guys. I would say Rodri, Cancelo, and Bernardo have probably been their key players this season so far.
Yeah.
And then as far as Laporte, he scored the goal, but he also, right before the goal, made a game, like Southampton was about to put that game out of reach with a run by Rodri, and he got beat and found his way back and blocked the shot, and then later on went up the other half and put the header in. So Laporte, like, you know, Pep has a system and they all got this shit down pat. And like Sterling used to be like scoring in droves. Bernardo Silva used to be scoring in droves. They used to have Sergio Aguero there. But somehow, to be honest, here's my thing about Man City. They're the most boring, best team I've ever seen play. Like, sometimes I watch them and they have possession of the ball, but it's kind of dull. And then they'll manage to score 2 or they'll manage to score 5. But it still ain't like an exciting 5 for some reason. So maybe that's just my opinion, but it's almost just watching like a robot operate. It's just, there's like some human thing kind of missing, which is good and bad, because sometimes I wish United had that.
They're just ruthlessly efficient in the way they do it. Like, they'll just starve a team of the ball and wear them down, and then they'll just pick them off and find the holes. Because if they keep the ball, if, you know, they had 75% possession against us, they do that against most teams. And it's just keep moving the ball across the pitch and then wait for an opposition player to fuck up and get lazy. and then all of a sudden the ball's down the side of the box and someone's made a run, then it's a cut back, low finish. That's how they score such a high percentage of their goals. Or, you know, or someone like De Bruyne will just turn up with a 30, 25 yarder or something and put it top corner. Or like, you know, I mean, that was probably the least City goal you'll see, the goal they scored against us, where they just get a free kick and they sling it into the box and one of the centre-backs comes up with a header. But like Diaz has done that for them in other games. Laporte did it in this game. So, yeah, they're just efficient.
I think they got like 7 goals off of set pieces and shit like that. But for the season. But yeah, they usually take their set pieces the way Barca used to take their set pieces.
Yeah, they did all their corners short
corners. Yeah. And that set piece was basically a corner, and yeah. I'm just looking at my phone so I can keep going down this list of I don't want fixtures. I want the tables. Here we go. So I don't have to switch screens. So you got Liverpool, they're second, and I'm impressed with their win. You have your 2 leading goal scorers are out. They're not around. Then you're not even using Origi, and you made Oxlade-Chamberlain into a forward, and then who's the other guy? Minamino, and then
and Jota as well.
Yeah, Jota I expect to deliver, which and I've just seen based on last year when they had their forwards, but their defense was completely disrupted. Like it kind of disrupted their forwards, but now their forwards are gone and they're still scoring without them. So, you know, I don't even want to ask a question about, do you think they can catch City? It's just, for me, it's just like some shit you can watch. But what do you think of like Liverpool being second, 9 points behind City, and just their performance this weekend?
Well, you know, the very unfortunate thing for Liverpool is that they lost Salah for such a long period of time. And FIFA had so many chances to fix that problem with African Nations Cup. It's been a problem for a long time, since I remember even in early 2000s when I was going to cover those events. What
do you mean the problem of?
The problem is that this competition is the only competition in world football interferes with major leagues.
With the European League.
Past for a long time, and it was always a problem for the teams in England too. I remember, it was a problem that probably cost Chelsea one title when they had to let go a couple of players, including Drogba, who was their main striker at the time. That was like 2006. I was in Egypt for that tournament. Drogba was playing for Ivory Coast. So if they leave for 5 to 6 weeks, that's a problem. And you have a lot of African players on your team. That's a major problem.
Is it that long?
Yeah, I mean, with the camp, and it depends how far they go in the tournament, But I expect that Salah will be there for long, and Drogba was in the final that year. So yeah, it's a problem. And not even they didn't fix that. They made it worse.
When you say fix it, how can they fix it?
I mean, they say the argument is that it's too hot in Africa during summer to do it during summer. But not, but still, now they made it every 2 years. It used to be every 4 years. Now it's every 2 years. So it's an ongoing problem. And
so who runs it?
African players are getting better and better and better and more important for those teams.
Who runs it? FIFA?
Yeah.
No, it's CAF.
Yeah, but it's part of FIFA. FIFA can overrule them, and they had to give away both Mane.
But if FIFA overrules them, then they're not going to bribe FIFA to hold the World Cup.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you can't, like Platini and Sepp Blatter wouldn't have made all that money that they're now being accused or brought to light of taking. So.
But who are the 2 most important players for Liverpool offensively? Mane and Salah. And you lose them, and how you can win a title in that circumstance?
I mean, how important is Salah to Liverpool? Liverpool don't even want to pay him the money, and he's saying he's not trying to break the bank.
What
But
about Mane?
I know if they pay Salah, they're gonna have to pay Manny. How old is Manny, by the way?
That's your player, Lee. You got to know.
I'm guessing he's like 28, 29, maybe.
They don't want to pay Salah because they don't want to pay Manny.
Let me have a look. I'm curious. Sadio Mane, 29. He's
29.
30. He's 30 in April.
Damn. It's funny. Like, I guess this does happen in show business too, but like your money depends on somebody else's money. So then you can't even get paid what you're worth because they're worried about what they're gonna have to pay something else. Those guys kind of don't even like each other. To me, I feel like Mane is very competitive with Salah, and it's works in a good ways and bad. But yeah, he's gonna want his money too. So
I think in terms of Liverpool's performance this season, they're not a million miles off though. I'm just looking at the table and they're 9 points off, but they got a game in hand. So if they won that game in hand, it's only 6 points. And then it all comes down to like when they play City again, if they beat them, that could really open it up. So it's not like fully beyond their capabilities, especially when they get those guys back from the tournament. So I think it's still doable. I think it's unlikely because City are so consistent. But you know, we've helped them have a little bit of hope in there. But I think it's still on to catch them potentially, but they're going to need to be in some ridiculous form, and they're going to need to beat them when they play them again, 100%. But yeah, it's interesting. It's just the draws that look like they cost Liverpool because they both only lost 2 games each. But City have drawn 3 games, 2 of which were us. You're welcome. The rest of the league. And Liverpool have drawn 6 games, which is what's hurting them.
Right. I mean, you know, still a decent amount of games left. And City is dispelling the myth that they need a forward. But let's see if they don't. Let's see if they can get to the end of the season and keep scoring goals. Or let's see if there's a few games, even if it's 3 games, where you can say, yeah, they did well for the full season. But if these 3 games and these last bunch of games that they got, if they had a forward, they wouldn't have drawn or maybe lost some of those games. So I feel like they can still win the league, but not having a forward like in a tournament like Champions League is going to be a problem.
If you think how good that City team is without one, like it doesn't mean they don't need one. Like how much better would they be if they had Kane this season?
Well, if they're thinking about buying this guy from Argentina, Alvarez.
They did buy him.
Again, they did? He's young.
I think they did.
Okay. Yeah, we were looking at him, but it's like, we don't need another forward. That's United. I mean, for the people who haven't been watching or listening. But, and then the United fans got mad that they're going to let, you know, Man City get this player. And it's like, sometimes United people, we just want to buy because other people buy. And it's like, that's not how football works. If you don't need someone, you don't buy. Like, we already got players on our team that we don't need, that we just bought, just to make the fans happy that we bought and the other team bought. It's like, no, let's just stick to our plan. And our plan is not to just make fans happy and keep up with the Joneses. It's to like execute a complete, thorough, like action based on buying of players that we need and that are essential. So we'll see. But Liverpool, like you said, Lee, they're within range. So if they win that game in hand and it's a 6-point thing, it'll be fun to watch the chase down at the top of the table for the end of the season. Chelsea.
Still.
Say again?
It's definitely a possibility still.
Yeah, definitely a possibility still. Chelsea is third. They have 47 points after they trounced a very static Spurs team. And Martin, I'm surprised because I really believe in Conte, and I've been impressed by Spurs playing since he's joined them, and the players, like there's been mass improvement in a lot of players, but to be beat by a team like 3 times in a row, twice out of the league, but it's the performances. It's like it's almost like you should have the Spurs players each time like will wearing their white shirts as flags as they walked onto the field to play Chelsea. It's like like how you feel about like the fight that you guys put up or didn't put up in those 3 games. You put up a little bit more this weekend, but still it's like you guys have played really aggressive. I just didn't see anything against these Chelsea games.
Well, historically, Chelsea is not very good for us since, of course, since Abramovich came there, because before they were not in our league. But they're tough. They're tough for us. They're our kryptonite. You know, they're beating us pretty consistently, and right now they're just a better team. Right now they're still just a better team. They have a lot of players. I know that Neil likes to complain, but they have 20 players. Each of them is a top level player who makes a lot of money. And even if they lose 2, they still have 18. So it's a very strong team. And the fact that some players are underperforming doesn't make them less strong. You know, you can say that Lukaku is underperforming or Werner is underperforming, but still, it's a very, very strong team. They should have been. They are technically on the paper the strongest team in the league. They should have been more competitive for the title, which they aren't. So even if they did beat us, and they had to beat us, because if they lost that game, I would say they would be flirting with finishing out of top 4. And still, if Tottenham wins all the game that we have in hand, they will be still ahead of Chelsea. That shows you not how good we are, because we are not. We are the team in a transition. It's still a lot of gaps, and still we need to make at least 3 or 4 buys. But it shows you how Chelsea was underperforming for this entire year. And in this game, they just showed their superiority. They were better. They deserve to win, but they have to show that more consistently, that level, because they haven't.
I almost feel like losing to Chelsea is part of Conte's plan.
Maybe.
To be like, you see what I'm saying? Like, hey, board. Because I feel like Conte is not leaving at the end of the season.
No.
I feel like he has a understanding. Like he's not like normally Conte, I feel, would be way saltier after losing, but he's been losing these games in a way that it's almost like a long game he's playing to say, all right, board, we're talking about this, see what they have. This is what we need to get to where they're at. So we didn't beat them. But Conte would normally be angry, even if he knows that. And it's like, he's playing this game of, and then in the interview after the game, they were like pushing him, saying, what are you going to buy in the wintertime? And he was like, hey man, you can't fix the problem that Spurs has in the winter window. So he's like projecting, like, I'm going to be here a while and we're going to fix this over a period of time, but we definitely going to spend some money. And this game helped me prove my theory that we need to. So I'm not tripping right now.
He made a weird selection with the team though. Like he played like double fullbacks. He had Doherty and Tanganga, I think, on the right, and then Sessegnon and Davies on the left.
He didn't Doherty, the way he even played for Wolves, he's not a defender, you know. Like they tried to make him defender at Tottenham. It didn't work out completely because that's not he's too slow to be a defender at the back, you know. But he can push. He knows how to find himself in those places on the wing, though. He can be very effective, and he was effective against in the game we won at Leicester. Very effective, as a matter of fact. I'll tell you this.
You mean the game that you effectively lost in 90 minutes, but won because of some crazy mess ups in the 95th and 97th.
We get post twice. We're so much better in this game. That was ridiculous.
But that is funny, Martin.
But,
you won 1 minute of a game and won the game.
Yeah.
Good.
Let me tell you this. There's one clear gap on the team, and I'll tell you those two things. There's clearly no playmaker on the team, and he knows that, and he will bring a player. And that also shows you how down he's on Ndombele, because today they were talking to loan him out to PSG. I think they will. I think that that loan will go through, because Conte quit on Ndombele right away, and that proves the theory that Ndombele, apparently when he was under Nuno, he was late for trainings. He was kind of very casual during trainings. He's super talented and extremely skilled, but it looks like he's not very driven as a player,
Right.
The thing is, you've got a bunch of players who can play that role. Like Ndombele could play that role. Lo Celso could play that role. Ali could play that role, but none of them are performing.
Lo Celso is probably a defensive midfielder, to be quite honest with you. I don't think he's I'm
getting that vibe too. Yeah,
Eriksen
creatively,
but Ndombele was supposed to be the new Eriksen. It didn't work out.
He's got the skill, but he's not got the determination to put in the legwork on the pitch.
But the only player you're linked with is Traore right now. You're not being linked with any creative midfielders.
And Eriksen back. There's a link to.
No, he's going to Brentford.
Huh?
He's training with Ajax, and he's joining Brentford.
Oh, really?
For real?
Yeah, he's going to Brentford.
Oh, get out of here! That's crazy.
Yeah, they got a whole team full of Danish people and a Danish manager as well.
Oh, okay.
But he's been training with the second team at Ajax, and apparently, the deal is in place for him to go to Brentford. There's just extra legal work, I think, because of the complications that could arise.
That'd be interesting. I was rooting for Chelsea more this weekend than Neil was, because I knew, we played the day before and we were fourth, and I knew that Spurs had games in hand and they need to lose those games in hand so that we can maintain our fourth position, which is, and when I say I mean United. And plus, I wanted to go into the international break. When there's a break, right, and you win the game before the break, you've won that week and the week of the break. That win lasts 2 weeks. Some wins might, if there's a midweek game, a win, the euphoria from it might last till that next game in the midweek where you might lose. So, now I get the euphoria of 2 wins in a row and 3 weeks off without the possibility of our position in the table changing. So I was definitely, when Ziyech scored that wonder goal, listen, I ran around the house in so much blue. It was ridiculous. But that was an amazing goal. It was just perfect. And and if somebody deserves a goal like that, it is Ziyech, because things have not 100% worked out for him, but that was a great moment. And that was also probably the best game I've ever seen Hudson Odoi play, because Neil talks about it so much for so many years, and I'd be like, all right, let's see if he got it, and it just hasn't been happening. But that was a good game for him.
I think it suited him because Chelsea didn't play him as a wing back in that one. He was a proper winger. They had him on one side and Ziyech on the other side, cutting in, and it just suited them, I think, more than the wing back system, or the system where they have to play as sort of attacking midfielders almost, behind one striker. So the move back to that system, I think, definitely suited them better.
I just feel like he runs with his head down, and he's always trying to take. He has this reputation of this take on people ability, and when he takes people on, he never really gets by them, and he has to figure his legs and his brain out, and he still hasn't done that yet. But it might be beautiful when he does. When I talk about homeboy in at Real Madrid, he had the same issue. and now he's like flying. Like the mathematics of his brain is communicating perfectly with his legs, and he knows when to beat people, how to beat people, and when to pass. And he's having a great season, and Real Madrid's at the top of the table. But yeah, we'll see. But that was a great run down the left side by him, cut inside, pass to Ziyech, and yeah, great shot. And I feel like Lukaku has to do more than sometimes he does stand around and sometimes he finds himself open. But there's one shot that he took on goal and the keeper saved it. After Lukaku takes a shot, the play is over for him. Like, he doesn't believe, how are you a forward in football and you're not like ready to pounce for rebounds or ricochet? Like, watch Lukaku when he takes a shot. Like, his next action is to react if it goes in or react if it doesn't. When I say react, I mean like with arm gestures. You know what I mean? It's like he's not trying to like, he's not in like Dennis Rodman rebound mode. Like this ain't over till the basket's in the net or we've retrieved the ball and we're back attacking again. So there's some like, I don't know, he takes a shot on goal as like a rest break. Or if he ran to get the ball and they didn't pass it to him, and now he's offside, so that when the team wins the ball, his team wins the ball back. Like, this motherfucker takes as much time to jog back onside as possible. So I just think, like, sometimes when people say play faster, he needs to play faster in like those moments of the game, and he'll get more goals and results than, you know. But it's just he's just got to work on that. I want to go to, and I was kind of talking about United, and what do you guys think about that game that, you know, against West Ham, and it wasn't really Fergie time, like I said before. We had 3 minutes of injury time and we scored within that time. But I don't know if you guys watched it, but how do y'all feel about us being fourth and you know, Ragnick and just the whole deal?
I mean, it was a good weekend for you guys, like you said, to go into the break with that win. I mean, West Ham made you work for it, but I think they make everyone work for it at the moment. Like, it's they're not an easy side to play against. And the weekend worked out well for you, obviously, like you said, with Tottenham dropping points, and then Arsenal went and drew with Burnley, which was good for you as well. Because it kept them away. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those. You had that little parting gift from Martial, because he looks like he's on his way to Sevilla on loan, but he played the ball through to Cavani for the goal, the assist of the assist.
Thanks, Martial. Have fun in Sevilla.
He's going to go enjoy that sun. That's definitely, it's an upgrade on climate.
Sun, baby, come back.
Yeah, it's an upgrade on climate. Manchester in January, February time is bleak. So yeah, go to the south of Spain for a bit. I'm sure he'll have a good time out there. It's a good team that he's stepping into there as well. So that'll be interesting. But yeah, it was an interesting game. Like, I feel like United had chances during the game. West Ham had a couple of good chances as well, but I think Bowen had one, came close. Souček, I think, was it on a cross? Came close as well. So they had their chances, but West Ham are always going to have them chances when you play them. So yeah, I think United just about deserved the win. I mean, you left the late win.
We more than deserved it. I rewatched the game again today, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, we deserve this win." The substitutions at the end were risky and weird. Like, we took out like I'm blanking. Fred. We took out Fred, and I got to give Fred credit. Like, Fred has been playing some beautiful one-touch football and pinging legit Pogba-like passes all over the place, and being pinpoint. So it's like I remember one time you guys asked me a question about Fred and McTominay and like, are they good enough to be Man United's the engine room and heart of Man United? And I was like, probably not. I've seen better. But then you also asked me, and this was on the Solskjaer, would a better coach make them play better? And I said yes. And are they playing better so far? Yeah, but they've also had great spells under Solskjaer, so it's just too early to say. But I do like what they've done recently, and they get a lot of shit sometimes. But like West Ham has a very competitive midfield. You're playing against a team that has a midfield that the whole league has their eyes on, and for us I think we had most of the ball possession in this game and created more chances. Like those two guys who have been maligned, like stood up against like a guy who's the legit $100 million central midfielder and one of the most up and coming best young midfielders in the world. And Elanga, I mean, what can I say? The hustle is real. That motherfucker is like starting to start, and he's determined to keep playing, and he's been very effective. So, this is like I said, it's a great weekend to with 3 week no 3 what do we have 3 weeks of no games? Almost.
So there's some games the weekend after next which are catch-up games. Everyone else is playing FA Cup.
Okay.
And then there's some midweek, like we play Spurs away next, not this Wednesday, or not the next two, in like a couple of Wednesdays' time.
Right.
9th of February, I think it is.
Martin, what do you think of United being fourth and the game against West Ham?
Well, it's a little bit confusing because we still have more games to play, so we'll most likely get it for free. But
Martin, the table.
It's a progress from the situation I remember 3 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, when there were, tabloids were having a go at Man U, saying that 17 players don't want to play for Rangnick, that there's a turmoil, that all the players hate his schemes, I hate his trainings. Right now, it looks like the team and the coach are on the same page, at least for now. And maybe there wasn't a problem at all. It was all made up. Who knows? Definitely a little bit of luck, but we also had it in the past, so it's normal. That's football. Against West Ham, because there was this situation when Soucek could have scored a winner right before you guys scored a winner. So that was like a little swing here. But yeah, effective. The points are what it matters. I'm just still not sure about Ronaldo, because he's been kind of cold lately.
No, he's been very creative, and he's dropping back in the middle. He's almost playing like a false nine-ish. So he's doing good out there. We're gonna get this thing together. It's cool to watch it going in the right direction slowly. And like I said, in games when we drew or played ugly but won, this is a process, and I'm just gonna sit back.
It was interesting, like by the end of the game, where you had Ronaldo, Cavani, Rashford, Martial, and Bruno all on the pitch at the same time. But Ranieri was like, "I want to win this game."
Yeah. He went for it, and you want that from your coach.
Yeah.
To he understands. I'm at Old Trafford. It's 0-0. We're gonna go into the break. We need this win. We want to get to fourth, and you got to give it to him. He went for it, and it's like there's lots of things in coaching. Like there's setup, there's how to train your team, and how to prepare them, and what happens in between games. But like each game presents its unique scenario, and you want your coach to be ballsy. You want your coach to be able to say, Ronaldo, I'm taking you out the game. You want your coach to be like, Ronaldo, I'm putting you in the game. And you want your coach, when it's 0-0 at Old Trafford and 10 minutes left, to look at his players and be like, I feel like I could trust these motherfuckers to go for this and risk losing and going for the win, and give the fans like an old fashioned. I can't even say old fashioned because we won so many games from behind last season with Ollie. So, but all this just gives me more faith in Ragnick as a coach, because like every game a coach has a chance to show you something about his character, and he definitely did this game. We talked West Ham is 5th, and so we kind of talked about that. Arsenal is 6th. They got Burnley. I was so happy that happened because, like Lee mentioned before, we needed them to drop points. They have a game in hand on us, and Arsenal fans hate not winning against teams that they feel they should win. But probably them calling off every game possible that they could also meant that the only way to stay in game shape is to play games, and Arsenal did everything they could not to play games. And so now you have to play a game against Burnley, who are fucking stubborn as shit. You get a draw. I'm going to slide down the table to Martin, you have anything you want to say about Arsenal?
Well, first
Being
of all,
ahead of you in the table?
They were avoiding games for a while. So now we know why, probably. They still have a chance for top 4, but I would say that they're in a little bit of a trouble right now, because I don't see this team being strong enough to hold their positions. They benefited from the fact that there was a moment where they just played more games than anybody else, but I don't think they can hold their positions. It's either us or you guys are gonna take their spot in top 4 for sure.
They've been linked with a bunch of different forwards in this window, which will be interesting. I don't think any of these forwards want to move right now. The one that they were linked strongly with initially was Vlahovic from Fiorentina, but it looks like he's gone to Juve now.
He's going to Juve, yeah. He already
looks like a done deal. So the other guys, they've been linked with Calvert-Lewin, but I don't think Everton would want to sell him when they're in trouble. They'll maybe cash in the summer, perhaps. And the other one was Alexander Isak from Sociedad, but he's got
Isak's a
clause
good
of like
choice.
£70 million. So
Isak's a good choice.
Yeah, I'd love to see him in the Premier League, and I think he'd suit Arsenal's style of play. But their release clause of 70 million is they're not paying that now, I don't think.
Right. I'd be terrified if Arsenal got Isak. I'd be like, oh shit, I'd be terrified. He's good. Like we saw him playing the Euros, and I've seen him play some. Yeah, he's problems. League don't need those type of problems. Spurs is 7th. They got 36 points. We already talked about them. Wolves is 8th. They have 34 points. They beat Brentford this weekend. Was it 2-1?
3-1 in the end, I think it might have been. Let me have a look.
I think that goal got taken away, but maybe.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right, yeah. There's a great finish from Martino for their first goal there on the outside of the foot.
Yeah.
He just bent it in that far corner. But I like the Brentford goal from Tony as well. That was a really hard technique to pull off.
Mm-hmm.
That big cross to the back post, and he's just caught it first time low on the volley.
Right.
That was a really good goal. But that was a fun game. One of my friends was at the game as well, and he was talking to me about it. And yeah, he's a bit frustrated with Brentford right now, but yeah, he's a Brentford fan, so yeah, it was an interesting game.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny about Brentford? I was talking to my brother. He moved back to England. He lives in London, and he could see the Brentford Stadium from his house, but he could also see the QPR Stadium.
Yeah, they're pretty close.
Yeah, I didn't know they were that close, and because the QPR one, I used to pass it all the time when I was a kid, and because we used to live near there. But yeah, so Wolves, they're doing their thing. They're like heating up, and I'd worry about them catching Arsenal, Spurs, and United from behind, because they're kind of like gelling right now. They're tough to beat. They're just really tough to beat. And
Wolves' next game is Arsenal, so that'll be interesting.
Oh shit. I'm gonna root for them to beat Arsenal, but after that, I'm gonna stop rooting for them. Just so Arsenal could drop points. Then there's Brighton Hove. They're ninth. Who did Brighton Hove play this weekend?
They drew 1-1 with Leicester.
They drew 1-0 with Leicester. Yeah, I was hoping.
Team right below them.
They did buy a Polish player, and it's a third Polish player they bought in 12 months. One is actually playing for them quite a bit, Moder. The other one didn't work out, Karbownik. But now they bought the biggest talent of Polish football, the guy who was, at the age of 17 years old, he was playing against Spain in Euros. He was 17 years old, and he played in that game, Poland against Spain. So they bought him, but they immediately loaned him out to a team in Belgium. So they want to play him next season. They want him to get more experience.
Brighton Hove.
His name is Kozlowski. He's a attacking midfielder. Very, very talented. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Brighton Hove kind of moves like a small team and a big team at the same time. Mm-hmm. Like there's this player that they bought. I think he's from Ecuador, and Man United was like on him a little bit last season, and around this time, we're like, all right, we're not gonna buy him. And then Brighton Hove slid in there and bought him. And then I don't know if he's on loan somewhere, but they're just like incubating him somewhere for when they feel like he's ready. So like that move that you're talking about, that Polish player, they're almost like finding people to like.
Casado is the midfielder.
Casado, yeah.
Penetrate those markets. Like I said, it's a third player they brought from Polish league. It's not just that they're Polish; they're from Polish league. So they scout Polish league. They scout, I guess, those leagues that are under the radar a little bit, and they find those rare gems. The motorbike was fantastic. He's a really good player for that. And
he's been more of an impact sub in some games. He started some games, but they like to bring him off the bench and causes problems.
They paid $6 million for him, and it's nothing. And then they got now this guy that is the biggest talent of Polish football, and a really, really good player. Really good player. Not only good player, but he's a very confident player. He's extremely.
What's his name, Martin? What's his name? Kozlowski.
Yeah, very confident. He's extremely confident. So I think we'll hear about it.
That's a very Polish name.
Yeah.
But also with Casado, he was on loan for the first half of the season at Beerschot in the Belgian league.
Oh, so
he played like 12 games for them, I think, first half of the season. He just came back from loan a couple of weeks ago.
Now with Kozlowski, they send him to Belgium for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Exactly
they must have a connect out there where they're just like, I wonder if they went to the same club.
No, it's
I can have a look.
It's a different club.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they definitely have a method of operation. I can't even say the word. So I'd watch out for Brighton Hove. Like just in hiring Graham Potter, give him the chance to like Graham Potter's first few years in the league, like their team did not adapt to the style as much as they did it now. But there's some trust in the board. And now you'd watch a Brighton Hove game, because you're going to get some entertaining football, and then even now with the buying of these players, sending them to get like some game time in the lower leagues, it's like I would really watch this team.
Well, you look at some of the other players as well. Like we haven't spoken about, like Bissouma has been great since they signed him. Mwepu looks very good. McAllister has some good games.
Yeah.
Trossard, obviously.
Lamptey.
As well. Lamptey's Cucurella, the left back.
Cucurella, bro. Cucurella is like, it's like he just fit right in. He's like, oh yeah. I did you play here in another life? Like he's yards ahead of like players that grew up playing in the Premier League. Like he's just like, it's a natural fit. So they got a good eye.
They've been smart though as well, that they've paired them up with experienced Premier League players as well, who don't play every game but can offer something, like Welbeck, like Lallana as well.
Right.
just guys that have been around for a long time at bigger clubs and done it?
Just thank God they have no idea how to buy an attacker. Just thank God for that, because if they once they figure out how to buy attackers, this team is going to be problems. I know Martin's got a go soon, so I'm just going to skip through just so we can get to the end of the table and shit on some of the teams down there a little bit, because I know Lee wants to shit on somebody specifically. In 10th is Leicester, who tied with Brighton Hove, so they go into the break with a tie. They got a lot of injuries and shit, so yeah, this is a pretty much evenly matched game. Like Brighton Hove is basically the Leicester to be. Like, that's the club that they aspire to be, so it's good to see like the two teams looking in the mirror that look alike facing each other. And then we get Villa. Villa goes down to Everton, and they beat them 1-0. They use one of their players, Digne. There's Liverpool connection of Coutinho. There's Liverpool connection of Steven Gerrard. And not only is Everton in shambles, they were like using Duncan Ferguson as the interim coach. And after Buendia scored, who to me was the man of the match because he was all over the place from the entire game. And they put him in, so it's like they're using like 2 10s, him and Coutinho, to like 2 creative players. And so they really are attack-minded, Villa is. And but after they scored, Buendia scored, Everton fans threw bottles and objects. And the person who, one Everton fan has been arrested. And yeah, there's something in the studio when out here, I don't know who called that game out there, but the guy that called the game for us here was like, you can't celebrate like that in that area of the pitch at Everton. And exactly. And Tim Howard at halftime was like, hey man, you ain't supposed to throw shit, period. Like, that's not, I don't know why that commentator said that. Like, he was trying to almost make it okay for what happened. Like, you can't throw shit at players, man. You can't, like Tim Howard said, you can't throw shit at people in real life. And you can't do it in a game. Like, people celebrate all over pitches.
People talk about it like it's like an involuntary reaction. Like, oh, if they celebrate, that's going to happen. It's like, no. Like, these people, like, if you're that annoyed by an opposition player celebrating, like, you shouldn't be at a football game. You should be in therapy. You have issues. You have severe emotional problems that need addressing.
100%.
Because I know some, like, football's a release for some people. You get to go, you get to be with your friends, you get to sing, you get to have some beers maybe, but there's that, and then there's just behaviour like that, which is unacceptable, which is too far. And it suggests that if you're doing that at a football game, you have other problems in your life that you're not addressing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also unhealthy just to be an Everton fan, the way they run the squad. So why are you going to a game? Why are you going to a game? Like, it's not going to be a great experience. And I know Everton expects to beat Villa, and that's upset fans. But hey, man, like, this ain't the type of league where your expectations are met based on the history of your dealings with teams. Like, and I know with Everton, how come Villa and Everton have the most games played against each other? That's kind of weird.
I don't think either of them have ever. Oh no, Villa have been relegated, but Villa were in the league for years, and Everton have never been relegated. So yeah,
but it's still a weird step because there's other teams. It's we don't have the time to get into it, but yeah. We'll go to Southampton. They are 12th. How are you feeling about that, Lee? You got 25
It's about where
points.
we should be. It's about where we deserve to be. As long as we stay 10 points above, because right now we're 10 points off Europa and 10 points off relegation. So we're just chilling, basically.
That's your spot.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace is 24. I think they had No, I think they lost to Liverpool or something.
Yeah, 3-1.
3-1, yeah.
You know who they're trying to get, and the talks are ongoing. They're trying to get Van de Beek on loan.
Yeah, I saw that. That's not gonna happen. Yeah. Yeah, it's just those are transfer rumors. Yeah, that's not happening, bro.
All right.
Yeah. Brentford, they're coming down from the clouds a little bit. The air is coming out the tires. I think that they've lost like 5 out of 6 or 6 out of 7 or something like that. So it's a good thing they built that 23-point padding because it's getting used up. So they're 14th. They got 23 points. Leeds in 15th, 22 points. They lost a close game to Newcastle. I know that hurt Neil, Lee, and Neil. That Newcastle won a game, but we'll get to that, to where they are at the table. Everton is 19th. Bottle throwing Everton is 16th with 19 points. Norwich, American, Josh Sargent sang off the field by away fans after a mini scorpion goal and a soaring American Eagle header and own goal gave Norwich a 3-0 win.
Is that the first time they've been out of the
Watford.
relegation zone this season?
I think they might have been out of it last week because they won last week too. This is their second win in a row, but don't quote me on that. But they're definitely 1 point above it now. The only thing is they got more games played than all the other teams below them.
Yeah.
But they, yeah. And then your favorite team to hate now, Newcastle, they're 18th.
Doing better.
15 points. Yeah, they're doing better. They're like a turd on a constipated stomach. They're around the edge and they're trying to come out, but we'll see what's up. How did
they
you
were
feel
lucky in
about
that
their
game
win?
as well. Like Leeds created so many chances, and they missed a whole bunch of chances. Like Rafinha was creating loads of stuff, no one was finishing it, and then Shelby got a bit lucky with that free kick. Like the goalkeeper offered him the other side of the goal, but he decided to go where the goalkeeper was, and the goalkeeper still was like, "Okay, I'm going to just let this go through me."
But it's kind of interesting that the two teams that are the biggest mess this season are teams previously managed by Rafa Benitez, right?
So you're talking about
he's building a foundation for a future success wherever he works. Really,
are you talking about Everton and Newcastle?
Yeah, I mean he was at Newcastle before, and then he was at Everton. He didn't really build anything there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he did good for them. They love him. But we'll see. But Newcastle, 21 games played, 15 points, and let's see if they make it. Then you have Watford, 14 points, and they fired their coach right after the game.
Arrivederci Ranieri.
Yeah, Arrivederci Ranieri, and now Roy Hudson is their coach.
It's like Watford were like, oh, when they hired Ranieri, it's like, oh, right, we need experience. And then after a few weeks, they're like, oh, he's not experienced enough. We need to fire this 70-year-old and go and hire a 74-year-old because those 4 years of extra experience are going to keep us up.
Yeah.
True. And there's another thing. It looks like they keep recycling managers because they always hire a manager who was known for working somewhere else. That they hired Pearson last year. Now they hired Ranieri. Who they're going to bring next? I'm wondering. Maybe Van Gaal or Nuno. I guess I don't know.
Hodgson, it's happening.
Recycling managers. I know.
Hudson will make them play defense. They have defensive issues. They can score, but they haven't defended. So he might be good for them, but I don't know if 3 coaches in one. It's not even one season yet.
That's what they do.
It's just January.
Every year they do that.
But they shouldn't have fired the first coach. It did when they fired the first coach. That is like, I was like,
yeah, and then they
did I
fired him
miss
for
something?
the second time. They fired him for the second time. The same coach.
The one that brought them up?
Yeah, right.
Cisco. No, he was.
No.
They fired Sanchez Flores twice, I think.
Oh, Sanchez Flores they fired. Yeah.
It was Cisco at the start of the season. He didn't even start that badly either. He
didn't.
He had some points.
Yeah, he had some points.
And then they went crazy. They're like Chelsea, but without the success.
Yes. They think the only way for us to be a big club is to fire like a big club, not play like a big club. Yeah. But and then Burnley, they're last, sitting on the bottom of the drinking glass, and they got 12 points, but they got games in hand. So we'll see what's up with that. They've only played 18.
They're just about to sign a winger from Dinamo Zagreb who scored a hat-trick against Spurs to knock them out the Europa League last season.
That's hilarious.
So they know that this guy can already score goals against average Premier League teams.
Sure.
Bring him on. Oh man, he's proven. Premier League average team proven. So that's it, guys. Neil couldn't make it today, but hopefully he'll be back next week. But thank you all for listening. We just ran through the league. I'm on my new iPad. It's doing moving shit. Looks like I got a camera crew in this pitch, but it's just all you gotta do is move your hand. Yeah, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to add a few things about the MLS because they started preparation for a new season, and it looks like it becomes sellers league. They sell young players. Today, another one, Kevin Paredes, another young American player going to Wolfsburg. And it's a pattern. They're not really bringing any big name players except of one player they're going to bring for a lot of money. Toronto FC are bringing Insigne for apparently 17 million a year, which is going to be 350% raise in salary for Insigne. So now I can understand why he's going there because he's only 30 years old and it's a World Cup year, right?
It was the same with Giovinco though, wasn't it? He was on huge salary.
Yeah, no, Giovinco was at 8 million. He's at 17.
Yeah, Giovinco was young when he went too.
Like, I lived in Toronto when Giovinco was there.
He was a sensational player there.
And it was great fun going to watch the games. They had him and Altidore up front. And it used to just be like the whole like old school little and large combo. Like the ball would go up, Altidore would hold it up, he'd lay it off to Giovinco. Giovinco would go dancing through some defenders and score.
Pesky Owen.
Yeah, it was old school, but it worked. I mean, I lived there the season they got to the MLS Cup final against Seattle and lost, and then I moved away, and then they won it the season after against Seattle again. Yeah. So
you would consider one of the best players in history of the league, but you can make a case that it's Insigne coming to MLS is more established player than Giovinco was. Ever was.
He'll find it hard to replicate Giovinco's success though. Giovinco was unbelievable.
Yeah. He wanted to come back, Giovinco, there, but they didn't want him.
Yeah, he went to Al Hilal, I think, or someone.
He even recorded a video making a pitch for them to hire him, but he wanted to be designated player. He wanted the same pretty much salary, and they said no.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, but you played so long here, you're just a regular player. Yeah, you've been in the MLS for a long ass time. How old is Giovinco now?
34.
34. That's still a pretty decent age for like a professional football player. But yeah, Lee, do you have any last rights?
I just want to say I've checked the other leagues and everyone's on a break this weekend. There's no Bundesliga, there's no La Liga, there's no Serie A. It seems to be an agreed thing from the look of it. I thought there'd be some other games, but no, I checked and there's not even cup games. It's a full blackout week.
African Cup is going on still.
Oh, yeah. So this is the Christmas for African Cup. This is the Christmas week for African League of Nations. So if you're still in there, who's broadcasting those games?
It's a good question.
I should know. I've been watching some highlights. But,
I think in the playoffs right now.
It might be is it the playoffs this weekend?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Oh no, playoffs are in March.
It's round of 16. Yeah. No, they play round of 16 right now.
Oh no, the World Cup playoffs.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, the round of 16 playoffs are right now because of course they extended the tournament. Used to be only semifinals. Now it's the round of 16. They're playing right now. They're playing tomorrow. They're playing Thursday. They're playing the quarterfinals on weekend. They're playing semifinals next week and the final.
What is?
He's talking about, I think Martin's talking about African Cup of Nations. And you're
I was talking about the World Cup qualifiers.
Yeah,
until
no,
March,
African
the
Cup of
playoffs.
Nations, they're in the playoffs right now. African Cup of
Yeah,
Nations.
America's playing, Jamaica's playing Mexico this weekend as far as the CONCACAF, like World Cup qualifiers, and America is playing who this week? I forgot,
But tomorrow is an interesting game. Ivory Coast versus Egypt. That's a good game.
oh yeah, I might check that out.
Last
Let
16.
me I'm gonna try to. I'll definitely try to watch that. I gotta find out who's bootlegging that. I mean, who's
Pepe versus
showing it.
Salah.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for coming on. Thank you, Aaron Brungardt, for putting this together. And you know, we'll be back next week. I don't know what we're gonna talk about, but there's always trades and shit like that going on. And
future fixtures.
Future fixtures, yeah. FA Cup and World Cup qualifiers. Yeah. So everybody be good, love each other, be good to each other, and we'll see y'all. One.